What's up, guys? Coop with C&T Designs again for another video. Another law or proposed law. We just went through, what was it, HB 106 in the last video. Now this is HB 107. Let me pause P80 Ralph on my phone. He's going through one of his builds. It's pretty slick. Yeah, this is HB 107. So this is a gun trafficking bill, which is why my guy back there, my AR, now has wheels and he's doing a burnout with flames coming out. That's my gun trafficking gun. And I've got another one that's designed kind of like him with just a couple little differences for another bill. My hair is like sticking up all over the damn place right now. I think it's just getting so frazzled from reading these proposed bills that are so crazily insane. So that's going to drive me crazy. I'll throw a hat on or something. Man. Okay, so back to the screen share as normal. And, God, I got so much crap open. Let's get rid of all this. And let's just open this. So this, again, Carolyn Maloney. Oh, man, this woman. And again, this is February 11th. They just submit these bills back to 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 back. There really wasn't a day after. What was it? January. No, it wasn't January 6th. That was starting in January when the 117th Congress took over, or actually started. There wasn't a day where they weren't putting through a bill. Now, some of these bills, the dates that they have listed for the introduction have actually changed because they actually edit the name of the bill or something, and then it's like a resubmit. It still keeps the same bill number, but the date of submission actually changes. All right, this is so-called to prevent gun trafficking. And again, my little gun up here with, oh, if I can reach it, my Hot Wheels AR right here doing a burnout. That is the plasma design for this one. I quit sticking the house bills and stuff on the plasma cuts because I don't know. I think it was kind of, some of the people I talked to said it's kind of throwing them off a little bit. They like the cuts, but not listed with the bills and stuff. So I just started doing the cuts for them. So anyway, let's get into this one. So to prevent gun trafficking, let's see, Section 1, short title, this act may be cited as the Hadia Pendleton and Naisa Prayer Yard Gun Trafficking and Crime Prevention Act of 2021. Section 2, firearms trafficking. In general, Chapter 44, United States Code, is amended at the end by adding the following. So 932, which is a whole new section of law. Much like the last bill, they just want to create more and more and more laws. Offenses. It shall be unlawful for any person, regardless of whether anything of value is exchanged, to ship, transport, transfer, or otherwise dispose to a person two or more firearms. Here we go again. In or affecting interstate or foreign commerce, if the transfer knows or has reasonable cause to know, and again, who decides what that reasonable cause is besides the people who are charging you, indicting you, and throwing the full force of the federal government against you, cause to believe that such shipping, transportation, transfer, or disposition of the firearm would be in violation of or would result in a violation of any federal, state, or local law punishable by a term of imprisonment exceeding 1 year. All right. And you got to remember the clause above this. This is about being illegal. It shall be illegal for a person to receive two or more firearms. So wait a minute, let me get this straight. So they're saying it would be legal to knowingly transfer just one. It would be legal to transfer a firearm to someone, knowing that it's gonna break a law. But two, we can't go to two. To receive and illegal to receive from a person two or more firearms affecting interstate or foreign commerce, because God knows they love the commerce clause. If the recipient knows or has reasonable cause to know and understand that they are going to decide what reasonable cause is. I can't say that enough. They will decide that reasonable cause for this is, well, it was a person-to-person transfer. It didn't go through an FFL, so that is reasonable cause that you should have known that this was going to violate a law, or that that person was going to use that firearm to violate a law. Let's see. Number 3, to make a statement to a licensed importer, licensed manufacturer, or licensed dealer relating to the purchase, receipt, or acquisition from a licensed importer, licensed manufacturer, or licensed dealer of two or more firearms that have moved or affected interstate commerce. Oh, I'm so tired of the Commerce Clause. This is the only way the government can regulate firearms, is they have to completely just distort law to be able to do it. And realize again, with this, they're talking about two or more firearms, but they don't give you a time period on when that can be done. So it could be one firearm this year and one firearm 10 years from now. It could be two firearms in one shot. And if these jackasses get their regulations passed where so many parts of a firearm have to be serialized, then this would count as more than one firearm. Because the slide and then the frame. Oh my God! And I'm going through this without notes. So I'm actually reading this just like you guys would read through it, if you actually did go look at it. Okay, dealer two or more firearms that have moved or affected interstate commerce. So get this, and this is where we'll go with some of the straw purchase stuff. So you go to a gun shop, you find a particular gun that is a very good price, and you know that you can sell that gun and make money on it. A person-to-person sale. Understand, you have lied on a 4473. Basically, because you are buying that to sell it. Yes, you are the purchaser at that time, but you have no intention to own that arm. And that's what the 4473 is about, and what the Supreme Court talked about. You have no intention to actually keep possession of that arm. You are going to turn around and sell it. You are buying it to sell it. When you say you are the purchaser on that 4473, you are actually, in the eyes of the court, you are lying on that 4473. And when we go through, again, we're going to listen to the Supreme Court arguments, or the arguments of the Supreme Court in a couple of cases shortly. You'll see that, if you bought that gun to resell it, they would call you a liar on a 4473, which would put you in prison. In this case, two or more guns would make you a firearms trafficker, because you had guns that you were selling. Let's see. So this is about so-called making a false statement to a licensed importer, manufacturer, seller, dealer, all that. That is material to the identity of the actual buyer of the firearms. So if you are buying it to resell it, they're saying you're making false statements. The intended trafficking of firearms, that just blows my mind. To make a false statement materially, the person knows there is reasonable cause to believe is false, and again, they're going to decide the reasonable cause to know. To direct, promote, or facilitate conduct specified in paragraphs 1 through 3. So that's the 2 or more firearms receipt, 2 or more firearms sold, 2 or more firearms transferred, all that in 1 through 3. Gift exceptions. Subsection A shall not apply to a firearm that is lawfully acquired by a person to be given as a gift to another person not prohibited from possessing firearms under federal law, or lawfully received or otherwise acquired by a court-appointed trust, receiver, conservator for or on behalf of an estate or creditor, or by a person to carry out on bequest of the acquisition by interstate succession under the laws of the state of the residence of the person. Penalties. In general, any person who violates or conspires to violate, meaning you just talk to someone about selling 2 guns of subsection A, shall be fined under this title and imprisoned for not more than 20 years or both. And again, it doesn't matter whether I sold 1 firearm this month and 1 firearm 3 years from now. If they find out about it, something happens, the person likes to smoke a little weed, well, they have weed on them with those guns. They track those guns back to me. 20 years on top of the fines. Oh, God. Organizer enhancement. And this is something we hit on the other so-called gun trafficking bill. If a violation of subsection A is committed by a person in concert with 5 or more other people with respect to whom such person occupies a position of organizer, supervisory position, or any other position of management, such person may be sentenced to an additional term of imprisonment of not more than 5 consecutive years. So not only would you do 20 years to the door, but then you would have a 5-year sentence behind that. Now, that could be you and your friends actually buying, selling, trading guns together, and then one friend gets caught with a little bit of weed. All of a sudden, they have a trafficking ring they're going to go after. Or that person is involved in something else, and the government says it's illegal, and they realize they can say anything's illegal, and then they have a trafficking ring. 20 years. If you and 5 of your friends, or you and 4 of your friends are buying guns, selling guns, trading guns, I mean, it's something that people do. I get tired of this gun. He's got a gun I like. Well, let's trade. I'll buy that gun from you. You buy this gun from me. That stuff happens all the time. It's personal property. Buy, sell, trade with friends. They call that a gun trafficking ring under bills like this. So let's get into this. So this is part D, definitions in this section. Here's where we get into this. The term actual buyer means the individual for whom a firearm is being purchased, received, or acquired, and the term of imprisonment exceeding 1 year does not include any offenses classified by the applicable jurisdiction as a misdemeanor and punishable by a term of 2 years or less. Technical and conforming amendments. The table of sections for Chapter 44, 18 U.S. Code is amended by adding at the end the following. So this is where they write out the end of this. In general, or directive to sentencing commissions. So, pursuant to the authority under Section 994P of Title 28 United States Code, the United States Sentencing Commission shall review and, if appropriate, amend the federal sentencing guidelines and policy statements applicable to the person convicted of offenses under this Section 932 United States Code, as added by subsection A. So they're going to recommend harsher sentences to the sentencing board. So they have guidelines that they are supposed to stick to, and this is saying that they will ramp those sentences up. Requirements. In carrying out this section, the Commission shall review the penalty structure of the guidelines currently provided based on the number of firearms involved in the offenses and determine whether any changes to the penalty structure are appropriate in order to reflect the intent of Congress that such penalties reflect the gravity of the offense. Oh my God. So yeah, they're going to recommend harsher sentences for you because they don't like firearms. And you have to understand how this will be phrased and this will be reported on. And for instance, okay, this is a home-built firearm. I'm not required to serialize that. Okay, I have prescriptions. I get pulled over. They find me with an unserialized firearm and drugs. That's how that's going to be reported on. And God knows I'm considered white, so they would probably report on me that it was a white supremacist with guns and drugs in his car. And then they just sensationalize the hell out of it. And then anybody with any kind of logical, reasonable skills could probably look up the fact that, one, the firearm in question didn't have to be serialized since it is a privately manufactured firearm, and that the drugs in question were actually prescriptions that were legal for me to have. But again, it's just amazing the amount of new laws that they want to write. Like criminals are suddenly going to start to pay attention to them. I just, no person who's actually going out and selling firearms or providing firearms to gangs and cartels and all that is going to look at this and go, well, I'll be damned, I'm out of business. They made the law. It's already against the law to transfer firearms to felons. That's already against the law. You can be charged and put in prison for that. Why do I need a whole new section of law that criminals aren't going to give a damn about anyway? You know, it just, these people baffle me. I guess I can't think at that level of stupid to actually be able to understand their line of thought. Well, I mean, yeah, I really can, because this is about control. This is about putting gun owners in jail and disarming people. I mean, that's where ultimately all this heads. You know, any just law should you should have to prove a victim. You should have to prove that something was damaged. Uh, Somebody was harmed. And that law should punish the person who actually committed that offense. That law should also never deprive law abiding people of their natural rights. That is how a just law should be. It should be clear. Clear crime, clear victim, clear penalties. Your average person ought to be able to pick up a code, which this is code, this is a code book. They ought to be able to pick up that code, find that offense, what constitutes that offense, what the penalties are for said offense, and that shouldn't affect law-abiding people. Yeah, it shouldn't strip them of their natural rights. This is very much that. If I'm selling my private property to somebody and I sell 2 pieces of that private property, or if they push through their reforms on firearms that have to be serialized, frame, slide, all that, receiver, this would constitute more than one firearm. If I sell this piece of property to somebody, you know, that puts me in prison for 20 years or more. And I had nothing to do with whatever that person did. And it doesn't give a time limit on these things. So I could sell a firearm, 2 firearms to a person this year, and 10 years from now they could snap out and go do some horrendous shit. But if they track those firearms back to me, well, I'm going to jail for 20 years. Notice there's no time limits in here. 1 gun this month, 1 gun next year, doesn't matter. It is still 2 firearms, or again, this could be considered 2 firearms or more. And if they push through, realize if they push through a lot of the laws that they want to push through, if this bill is set and they push through these other laws about permits and insurance and all this stuff, then I would be liable underneath those bills because this sets that groundwork. This whole crap, it's like taking freaking spaghetti and throwing it down on the floor and trying to track where one particular piece stops and starts. It just stacks. It's all tied up and nestled together. And people that aren't worried about this, aren't paying attention about this stuff, oh man. You know, I've still have to write, and I've done it before, but I've got to write some letters to my Congress people, Congress critters, and probably make some phone calls. Because whereas this stuff, again, shouldn't affect me in my state, since the federal government has become so absolutely all-powerful, it does. You know, I need to let my reps know not to support any of this stuff. I need them to realize if they support this stuff, and hopefully my channel grows, then I will be out there every day calling these people out and really putting them out on front. And telling people not to support them, to primary them. Don't give money to these people. Alright, guys. Let's see. That was 107, and I'm going to do 108. Or 1008. So, I'm out for this one. You guys be cool. We'll catch you on the next one.